Welcome to the Pindown, your Detroit Pistons podcast. I'm your host, Wes Davenport from Motor City Hoops in Detroit Bad Boys.
And I'm Blake Silverman, writer for Detroit Bad Boys, covering everything Pistons, and news writer for Sports Illustrated.
All right, Blake, so kind of a special recording here. We wanted to get this one in before Game 5 started, since that could be the end of the series. Hopefully not. I think the Pistons are going to have a good chance here heading back to the Garden. But yeah, two really close losses here to the Knicks in Detroit. What have you seen and maybe not seen from these Pistons?
Yeah, just a couple super tough games, especially coming off that ending in Game 4. And I mean, honestly, I know there's a lot of talk about the ending. I think rightfully so, but also it was just a matter of things going wrong down the stretch and not being able to close it out. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns makes a couple of the toughest shots that I've ever seen, so credit to him for that. Definitely some defensive lapses down the stretch too, that let the Knicks have some big shots that really you just can't have. And then on the other end, a couple shots for the Pistons, like definitely a couple from Cade that we've seen him make time after time, and they just don't go down. So tough one. It's honestly just a call from being an even series or even a quarter from being a 3-1 series. So I think just really tough how it's shaken out for the Pistons. Not everything has been out of their control, but I think a decent amount of it too is just sort of everything bad that could have happened did happen. So hopefully they prolong the series a bit, at least get one more home playoff game at LCA, because the atmosphere has been incredible, but disappointing games 3 and 4 for sure, especially coming off that Game 2 win.
I guess we should just focus on the call there for a little bit. I don't love talking about the refs too much, and I'd echo everything that was already said the other night on the Pistons Pulse. But look, it was obviously a foul, right? The 2-minute report at the end said should have been a foul, looked like a foul live. Like, what are you gonna do though? You know, like it's hard to. I think it's hard for me to have too many thoughts on something like that, because it really is uncontrollable. Like you said, great, they made a mistake. So what? It's done.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in the moment, like I was like, okay, it's a close call at the end of the game. Like I understand the refs swallowing their whistle, and you just have to on the play, and the play was on the far side of the camera, so it was like I almost thought THJ was trying to get fouled a bit, so I was just try to take a normal shot, like it was a little unorthodox. And then after saw hundreds of replays, saw the pool report that came out where the ref said they missed it. Even Josh Hart said he made contact. It's just a tough call that literally decide the game, and it just stinks that it is kind of the series. Like you can't expect the Pistons to come back and win this one, dropping games 3 and 4 at home. It's not just that again, but I just thought that was just brutal. Like there's no other way to say it.
Yeah, it was. And look, honestly, I think Game 4 was probably, if I were JB Bickerstaff or I were on the team, Game 4 would have been the most frustrating loss to me. Yes, in Game 1, you had control of it, right? And then you gave up that big run in the fourth quarter, and that's what loses you the game. At the same time, this is a young team. That was their first playoff minutes. Like something like that was bound to happen, and it did. So you got it out of the way in Game 1. You had a really good Game 2. Game 3, I thought that the final score was a little bit closer than the game actually felt. The Pistons made it a good game there in the fourth quarter, but the Knicks really did control that one for the majority of the game. So yes, the whole half-court violation, whatever, that was one that you feel pretty much like the Knicks kind of earned it. With this one, that Game 4, you held the Knicks to 94 points. You held Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby and the entire crew to 94 points, and you did not pull out the win in that game. I told you last time we recorded, if I'm the Pistons, I'm afraid of the barn burner games. All right. If this thing gets up to 120, 125 points, I just don't think the Pistons have the ammo to keep up with the firepower that the Knicks have. But if you can keep them in the mud, those are games you have to win. So now we've got two of these. Game one was, I think, was it just like, or no, I think it might have been game two, the Pistons got, and it was in the low 100s in point totals. And now game four, low 90s. They have to pull that out, and they didn't. To make it worse, they were up 7 with 7 minutes to go, or up 8 with 7 minutes to go. And yeah, again, you had the call at the end, but I feel like that kind of takes away the focus from they should have won this game. It shouldn't have come down to that. They really should have.
Yeah, and I mean, like, do you take? It's tough because after you drop game three, like obviously that makes game four a must win. But like going into that game, do you take? You're down one with 12 seconds left or whatever it is, and your star player gets a clean look to at a shot at one of his spots that he says, and it just doesn't like I feel like I take that. There were a ton of times for the Pistons to pull away in this one, and like honestly, Jalen Brunson goes down with that ankle injury at the end of the third quarter that looked a lot worse than it was. He comes back and scores 15 points in the fourth quarter. I definitely didn't expect that. I don't think the Pistons did, but they had a good look at the end to win the game, and I feel like a lot of times you have to take that, and the shot didn't drop, and they were lucky to get a second chance, and they honestly should have won the game with everything the ref said and all that. But yeah, it's just demoralizing, but it also is I guess for the long term a little reassuring that they are like every game has been competitive, even if you can look at specific points where they just was lackadaisical, whatever you want to say. Each game has been competitive, and I feel like that's all you can ask for going up against a really good basketball team in the Knicks.
I'll say, maybe this is the positive spin on the end of this one, but the last three possessions, Bryce brought this up at the end of the Pistons. The last three possessions, Cade Cunningham missed mid-range shot, Cade Cunningham turnover, Cade Cunningham missed mid-range shot. Okay, those were the last three for Detroit, and the last one obviously ends actually in Tim Hardaway Jr. Not getting that call there in the corner. But look, Cade is proving he is the dude. He's averaging like 26 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists in this playoff series so far. He has been absolutely unbelievable. He had 4 blocks in game 4. He was doing it on both ends. He looks the part of an absolute superstar. So you've got a guy like that, and you're telling me that in the closing seconds of a game, I can get him 2 good looks and he misses, and so I lose. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm with you. Like, if you're gonna lose, if you're gonna lose these games, that's how you want it to go. You want the shot to win it. You want the chance to win it. You want to put it in your superstar's hands. There was no one else. Like, would you have rather had, I don't know, Dennis Schroeder handling the ball when Cade turned it over there on that second to last possession? No, of course
Right.
not. Right? This is what you want. That's what you want. So we are getting a good preview, I guess, of what Cade's going to be in the playoffs in the future. And they did lose this one the quote unquote right way by putting it in his hands. But, it is still kind of a gut punch there to have it end the way it did. So,
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think if you go back to game one, you could say that, I mean, the whole team had a bad fourth quarter. I think
mhm.
certainly Cade didn't have his best quarter of basketball there, but like this fourth quarter in game four, he scored 7 points, got to the line, but he was 2 for 7 from the field, missed a couple shots that he normally makes. So it's just like that was just such a big swing, and you just have to hope that it it's a learning experience. And honestly, like, I don't think that there's anything that he needs to change from what he was doing. It's just like you need to see the shots drop. Some nights they do, some nights they don't. It was a bad time for those shots that we've seen him make so many times not fall, but it's just not totally on him. And then you get like a good look where he should have won the game at the end, and we know what happened there. But yeah, I really thought that they were going to pull that one out even after they the run and everything, just the circumstances with having the ball at the end and a chance to win the game, and the shot just didn't go in.
And what does continue to stick with me, and then we'll move on to some other subjects on this, but like they really did leave a lot of meat on the bone in this game. You had Tim Hardaway Jr. missing a wide open corner transition three in the fourth quarter that would have been a big momentum builder. I don't know if you guys, you all listeners, you all probably remember it, right? It sounded like the roof was about to go off the place, and then he missed it, and it all kind of came back down, right? Like that's one right there. You've got the Dennis Schroeder should have taken the layup, but instead tried to
Oh my
pass it to
gosh,
Tim
yeah.
Hardaway Jr. at the end of the first half. That's another 2 points. Cade Cunningham had a 1 for 2 at the stripe in the fourth quarter. Like there were a lot of these. They shot terribly from three. On good open looks, they shot really bad from three on the game. Sar Thompson missed a couple of bunnies that he should have made. Like they left quite a bit of meat on the bone in this one. And that's why it gets frustrating when you're looking at what they did to the Knicks on the other end of the floor. Like, yes, they got off to a slow start. The Knicks kind of, came out of the gates firing, but all of a sudden it really shifted into a defensive focused game. And that's great for Detroit. It allowed them to stay in it. And when you take that lead and you're holding the Knicks down under 100 points in a game, you cannot leave those type of points out on the board. Like you cannot leave the easy ones like that. That's why they lost. I get that the call is going to be the talking point on all the morning shows or whatever, but they lost because they left a lot of meat on the bone against the Knicks. And that's a good lesson. That's a good playoff lesson.
Right. And I think you just have to hope that this is certainly an experience, like a playoff experience that they haven't had before. And like what you mentioned just about it, no one has really had the like the 3 point. Yeah, YouTube user brings it up, 24% from three isn't good enough to win a playoff game. I agree with that. Like you see Malik Beasley finally come out of it a bit at the end there, and he just like when he made that first three, he just like held his hands up because like wow, thankfully one finally dropped. So like I don't think you're gonna see that a lot from him, but you just have to hope like all of these young players are getting this playoff experience that is going to help them when they're in these moments again. I do think this is interesting. I want your take on this because like I was wondering too what Mimsy brings up here about how you feel about the value of the last 2 minute report. Like personally, I kind of like I get why it's frustrating because the league can admit that there was a missed call or they made a mistake and there's nothing you can do about it. I kind of like it just because I feel like you don't always get that visibility or transparency. And especially just like I'm thinking about it more as like a writer perspective. Like it's nice to be able to say like, not just make a judgment like, oh, this could have been a foul. Like, I'm not sure but knowing like the ref, I guess, admitted that it should have been a foul and it wasn't called. So I'm curious what you think about those too.
Lets fans know if they're right or wrong, and
Yeah.
that's the extent of it. Like it doesn't change anything. It doesn't really
Right.
matter in the long run. I get it for the writers, and it's good for access, right? That you get the pool reporters, and they can actually back up what they got in those reports. So that's all good. That's good check, good transparency. But there's not too much there. I don't think. Let's so we got a couple comments on it. Can we talk about Ausar Thompson and Jalen Duren? Because in some cases, I kind of feel like I'm living in deja vu with this one. So what have you thought out of those two? Either one.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Asar, like it's just what we've always seen with him. Like you're not getting much on the offensive end, and you level set or you offset it with what he does on defense. And I think he's been giving Jalen Brunson fits at times, and I think he's been a positive there as well. But I get why some fans can be frustrated, but at the same time, like I think this team is better when he's out on the floor. It's just a matter of trying to figure out what he can do offensively and staying out of foul trouble. Duren, I don't know. Like it's been more going back to some of the, I guess, comments or constructive criticisms we've talked about with his game for a long time. Like just being a bit ball watchy at times. Like there was one down the stretch where I think Brunson had the ball and then Duren was
2
leaking
feet in
that
the
way.
paint. Yeah.
Yeah, leaking that way, and Towns just got out to the perimeter, had a great look for a three, which he nailed. And Duren's been like good at times on defense, but I think it's just like, what do you have, 4 turnovers in the first quarter
Yeah.
in game four? Like you can't have that. I know turnovers are a big like bugaboo for this team overall, and Cade's off in the center of that. Like, and Cade should turn the ball over less. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's going to turn the ball over just because of how much he has the ball in his hands. But when you get 4 turnovers from your center, like that's unacceptable. And it's just those little things that you need to clean up to be able to pull out these playoff games. And again, it's these guys' first playoff series. They're playing against a really good team, so I'm trying to give them all a little bit of slack. But there were some buckets specifically with Karl Anthony Towns that shouldn't have been as clean as they were.
Let's stick on Asar Thompson for a second because I'm actually with YouTube users. So he says he doesn't get fans complaining about Asar Thompson's minutes because he's been really bad on offense and is making it harder for everyone else out there with him. And then QT as well. He says those two, Asar and Duren, give everyone else on the offensive end less room to shoot and drive. So both of those things are true. We're really seeing the spacing issue come back with both of them. But with Asar Thompson specifically, it's not just that, like, oh, sure, he's always been less of an impact player on offense and his positive end has been the defense. That's obviously true at face value, but he's shooting 44% from the floor. That's, I think, about 12% less, percentage points less than what he did during the regular season. Like, he has been a black hole offensively in a way that I don't think we've really seen out of him this year. And credit goes to the Knicks for that. They've done a fantastic job taking away the Pistons' transition opportunities, which is where Ausar really thrived now down on the back end of the regular season, right? Like so much focus is getting put on Ausar Thompson as a secondary ball handler, but where that was really showing up a bunch during the regular season was in transition, where Ausar would get a rebound, grab, and go, right? And then he'd make a play out in space. It wasn't as much in the half court. Well, the Knicks are forcing him to be a half court basketball player, and we are seeing how much he struggles with that when he's also paired with a non-shooter, right? Because I think that a lot of this in principle does go away if you have Isaiah Stewart, for example, and now they can't just sag off of two guys entirely. Now it's both, or at least now instead of, it being both. Now you can only sag off of Ausar Thompson. So I want to read this off to you because I was doing this in preparation for the podcast today. So Ausar Thompson checked into the second quarter with about 8 minutes to go. Pistons were down 11 points. Jalen Duren checked out with about 3 minutes to go. So they were both in during that 5-minute stretch in the second quarter. The Pistons were then down 13. Okay, so you've got that late second quarter run to get into halftime. Happens without Jalen Duren on the floor, but only with Ausar Thompson on the floor. All right, then Ausar Thompson gets subbed out of the game with about 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Right, we're tied, 55-55. Duren gets subbed out of the game with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. So only 3 minutes after that, right? They're still tied, 61-61. When Duren checks back in to start the fourth quarter, the Pistons are up 7. So that third quarter run happened without both of them. Neither of them were in during the end of that third quarter, right? So then, okay, you want to look at the fourth quarter, right? Ausar Thompson subs in with about 10 minutes to go, 74-64. Pistons are up 10. When he subs out 3 minutes later, they're up 8. Like, they are not extending or doing runs, making these major runs in these games with the combo of those two on the court. It's either one or the other, or at least it was in game 4. Like, I don't get the complaint that, well, in the fourth quarter they took out their best defender and that's why they lost the game. Like, they made big time runs in the third quarter without him in. Like, as a reason they made the run primarily was when they went small and they got the energy injection from Paul Reed and they had both shooters out there on the floor with Dennis Schroeder and Cade Cunningham. Like, that's why they made that run. That's why they extended the lead. In the end of the second quarter, they did it without Jalen Duren. They went small. Like, that's why they got back into the game. It was Tobias Harris down low. It wasn't Jalen Duren. I don't quite understand the I guess the talking point at this point. I just don't get it.
Yeah, and I think when you look at like just looking at the fourth quarter in game 4, like Ausar only played 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, and where did those minutes go? Mainly Dennis Schroeder off the bench. Malik Beasley also played 7 minutes in the fourth quarter, and THJ was out there for a lot of it too. So like, I think when you get to the stretch of games when the offense is kind of stalling a bit and the Knicks are making a run, like you need to have players out there that are capable of making shots, and like that's sort of what we saw JB Bickerstaff do, especially in the fourth quarter yesterday. And like, to his credit, I think like Dennis Schroeder has been so good at times, like he's kind of played his way into that like crunch time rotation. And then when Malik Beasley makes a couple threes in the third quarter, like you're going to keep him in for his shot making ability. And we've seen him compete a bit more than we thought he would on defense. Obviously not at the level of like Ausar Thompson or anything like that. But I think just when it comes down to it, and it's like a good point that you bring up, like you need to have guys in that can score, because you know Cade's going to get a ton of attention. So like, I don't think Cade gets that clean look at the end if Ausar Thompson is like, I think he's getting more pressure essentially.
Yeah, he absolutely would be. Both of them, right? Even the strip that Josh Hart got on Cade in the second to last possession the Pistons had in that game, he was helping off a shooter in the corner. He couldn't go all the way down. That's why he reached. And actually, that's an important learning point, I think, for Cade Cunningham, because just a couple possessions earlier, Jalen Duren swatted at the ball when Jalen Brunson was driving, making a very similar drive to the hoop, but Brunson held on to it and Cade did not. So there's something to keep in mind if you're Cade Cunningham. I think just little things to improve. Obviously, he's been incredible, so that's nitpicking. But regardless, I don't know. It's just one of those weird things to me where it feels like the conversation is JB needs to play Ausar Thompson more because he's a good defender, and then he needs to play Jalen Duren more because Duren's your good rebounder, and they need to like end possessions somehow. So you need the rebounder out there. But neither of those things is really playing out so far through these 4 games. You're seeing Ausar Thompson, yeah, really good defender, but he's been so bad offensively and just like missing bunnies that he usually makes too. So it's not 100% structural. He's also just missing. So maybe the bright lights are getting to him. I don't know, but you've got that going on where you just sometimes can't have him on the floor. The offense stalls. And then with Duren, he's not even the leading defensive rebounder on the team. Guess who it is?
Is it Tobias Harris?
No, it's Cade Cunningham. He's the leading defensive rebounder through the playoffs. Well, who's second? You want to guess who's second?
It's not Tobias.
It is Tobias. It's not Jalen Duren. Yeah, he's not the leading defensive rebounder either. So like both of these, it doesn't make all that much sense to me. But look, let's look forward. Let's look forward. All right. What do they need to do here in game 5, right? You got to find a way to slow down Karl Anthony Towns. What else? What could they do?
I mean, so do you think, like, is Isaiah Stewart done? do you think?
I'm holding out hope.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the fact that he's missed all these, like I thought it was going to be a one game thing. But I think if you, and Paul Reed's done a great job when you don't have Stewart, but I think it is like a huge miss that you don't have Isaiah Stewart in these games. But I think, like, honestly, my short and easy answer is you need a vintage Cade Cunningham game in Madison Square Garden to win this one. And like you said earlier, it's been more the game that they won and the game that they should have won. Do say whatever you want about game one, but it's when they held the Knicks to 100 points. So just making those looks like as hard as possible. And I think with Brunson in game four, it was just so weird because he has that injury. You don't know if he's going to come back or not. But then he does come back and he explodes for 15 points in the fourth quarter. I don't think that is going to happen again. I mean, Brunson's an incredible player, so he might just, no matter what the injury things that are going on. But in game four, Cat is 5 for 7 from three. Brunson's 4 for 7. Even Josh Hart's 3 for 5. Like, and this isn't a good 3-point shooting team. Like, I think you just need to limit Cat's looks on the perimeter. Like, he made a couple incredibly tough shots, which he's capable of because he's a great player, but you just have to limit that. And I think a lot of times I know Tobias has been on him a lot, but some of it has been Duren too. So I think just like limiting those where possible, and then you just need your superstar to have an incredible game to extend this series, I think.
I agree. It's kind of a bummer position to be in a little bit as a podcast host, because like when you're looking at this series, it really is the Knicks are much more talented. They've got many more avenues that they could take to try and win a basketball game than the Pistons do, and that's just a product of the rosters that they have, right? Like we can't sit here and say, okay, JB needs to do X, Y, and Z, and then that's what they're going to do to win the game. Or we need to see X, Y, and Z out of, I don't know, like Schroeder or Harris or Duren, right? It's more just they need Cade to continue being a superhero. He's already averaging 26, 9, and 9. So keep that up, right? Maybe even exceed that, go out and just win the game on your own. Or if they could do what they did here in game four and just keep the Knicks in the mud. Like I don't want the end of the game and the fourth quarter to totally overshadow the fact that they held the New York Knicks to 94 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's unbelievable defensively. We're talking about they should have played Ausar Thompson more because their defense needed to be better. They held the New York Knicks to 94 points. This is one of the best, most efficient offenses in the NBA. They held them to 94 points with Ausar Thompson playing 22 minutes, which I think is right around his average for the playoffs as well. And actually, I think the regular season. But regardless, like they had a great defensive game after that first quarter. Do that again, right? Make that bankable. Go into Madison Square Garden, try to put your foot down after getting screwed on a late call. Like go send a message, play for the chance to send it back to LCA and get another home game, right? And just see what happens from there. I honestly still think they've got a good chance here to win the next game, to win game 5. If they come out and Cade looks like he did in games 2 and 4 specifically, and the defense shows up like it has for the majority of this series, then they're going to have a chance. It's just the Knicks have a bunch of counter punches that the Pistons don't.
Yeah, I think we can talk about the 3-point shooting too a little bit. Like, not the series that anyone hoped for from Malik Beasley, and THJ has sort of been off and on a bit and made a ton of big shots too. But like Cade didn't make a 3 in game 4. I think
I wonder if he's getting tired. Like, honest to God, he's played 3 or 4 games straight of about 40 minutes. I know they've got more rest in between, but that's the first time in his career he's done that.
Yeah, I mean he played 40, let's just call it 43 minutes, which is like the most of
Yeah.
anyone besides Michael Bridges, and like we're talking about the New York Knicks here.
Yeah.
We know how many minutes.
And they needed every second of that too. When he sat down in the fourth quarter, it immediately got dicey.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And yeah, this is a great point from YouTube user. Like they basically have a 50-50 chance at the end of every game. The next game should be no different. I totally agree with that. I think it's just finding a way to close games, which I think is really hard when
Mm-hmm.
your main group has never played playoff basketball before, but excuse me, now they have 4 games under their belt. And like the question to me, like I don't want to sound just like disappointing, but I think the series is over. But I could still see the Pistons forcing a game 7 at MSG. Honestly, like they've been right there, and hopefully they're figuring out what to do. I mean, I think the Knicks are a more talented team, but you're just adding up these experiences, and hopefully they just find a way to close a game in game 5, and then you got a home game, and I would not want to see them drop 3 games at home in a first round series.
This young team has learned really fast all year, right? They
Yeah.
have responded to adversity all year. Look how they responded after game 1, right? We were all pretty nervous that the Knicks maybe found some sort of kryptonite or chink in the armor in that fourth quarter. Well, the Pistons come out and they, for the most part, control game 2 and kind of win it in the last seconds on a Schroeder big 3-point shot, right? Like, awesome. That's a great response to what happened in game 1. Well, what happened in game 3, the Knicks kind of come out, they more or less controlled that game start to finish, even though the Pistons made it close. And then they responded in game 4 by shutting down the Knicks offense really well. Like their defense kept them in that game for 2 quarters of basketball when they just were not there offensively. That's a great response, right? The fact that they got up to about I think they had at one point a 13-point lead in the third quarter. Great response. Like this has been fantastic basketball to watch, even though
Yeah.
the Pistons have not won all of these games, right? They've been in it. It's been competitive. It's been fun. The only thing, I think actually someone mentioned this in the chat. Whoever mentioned this, throw it back up in the chat so we can pull your name up. But the one thing I do want to see would be, you've already got Tobias Harris guarding Karl Anthony Towns. If the Knicks aren't going with that 2 big lineup, why not just stick another shooter in there instead of Duren, right? Have
Hmm.
Ausar basically play the 4 and Harris play the 5. Lean into going small. See if maybe you could run with some of that. Oh, yeah, YouTube user. There it is. Yeah, so YouTube user mentioned this before. I want to see it as well. Let's get some lineups with maybe Cade, Schroeder, Beasley, Ausar, and Harris, and just see what happens, right? You can switch Asar Thompson over to OG maybe and have Cade guard Bridges, hide Tim Hardaway Jr. on Malik Beasley on Josh Hart, and then have Schroeder continue to do the great job he's been doing all series against Jalen Brunson. Like I would like to see that. That's the one X's and O's thing I think could work. Of course, Tibbs might just throw Robinson in there, at which case, all right, get Duren back in.
Yeah, and I mean, your season's down the line, so why not try something
Yeah,
new?
throw out all the stops. Give it a shot.
Yeah. I think like I don't. I think they can win game 5. I don't want to say I'm expecting them to, but like I they're not just. This isn't a team that's just gonna mail it in now that they're down 3.
No, they're not going to roll over.
And especially with how the last game ended, and THJ has the presser he does. I know Malik Beasley posted something like, obviously not how you want to end a game in an official's hands, but I think it is motivation to not have the gentleman's sweep, as they call it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what were the predictions? Almost everybody before this started was saying Knicks in 6, Knicks in 7. Had some Pistons fans saying Pistons in 6. that's not happening. So now maybe Pistons in 7. But look, they're on pace. I think they can win this next game here, game 5. I think they're going to be motivated to do so. And you talk about opportunities, right, for a young team that needs to learn how to win in the playoffs. Well, how about the chance to go make a statement in the Garden on national television that the last game wasn't a fluke, and now we're not even going to put it in the ref's hands. Like, how about going out, getting that double-digit lead, and just holding it, which we've seen them do in the regular season against this Knicks team. I don't know if I expect it, but what an opportunity to go send a message and then have the series come back to LCA. That's storybook. That could be awesome. So that's what I'm rooting for.
Well, I hope that's the case for Pistons fans, because these games, I mean, it's been this way all season with the games that this team plays, but all these playoff games, man, I hope everyone's heart is doing okay through all these crazy finishes.
Agreed. You want to give a final prediction here?
Oh man, I think the Pistons are gonna win Game 5. And I don't know. I think they might be getting tired a little bit. So I think, although I can see them forcing 7 right now, I think I'm kind of in the Knicks in 6 boat. How about you?
I think they do. I agree. I think they're going to win Game 5. I think you're going to see that superstar performance from Cade. He's just going to take it to another level than he's already been at, which is going to be really fun to watch. So that's my prediction. I'm excited to watch that. And then, you know what? I'll be different. Give me the young legs here. Young legs beat out the old guys in Game 6, and then you get Knicks in 7. Why not? Okay. You know what? I just want the chance to record another playoff basketball podcast before we have to start talking off-season stuff, Blake. That's all I want.
Yeah. Well, if you were gonna say Knicks in 6 too, I would have switched to Knicks in 7 just so we were a little different. But I think that's the most two of the most likely outcomes. Like, unfortunately, I think the series is all but over, but I don't think this team is going to go down without a fight.
No, I agree. Well, all right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for tuning in here on a special recording of the Pindown. We usually don't do this. We didn't even do too much with questions, but the draft. Get out of here, MC313. No way, no draft. But we appreciate you guys all for tuning in. Go Pistons, and let's force a Game 6.
Yeah, well, shout out to you guys for joining on the fly. This was fun. We have a ton to talk about, so we'll be back. Timing dependent on how the rest of the series goes, but we got a ton to talk about. And a reminder, everyone can call our phone line if you want to leave a voicemail, ask a question, hear your voice on the show. The number for that is 313-355-2717. And special thanks to our guy Sean Corp, the managing editor for Detroit Bad Boys, for supporting the show. Shout out to you guys for the great comments and questions and talking points today. We'll catch you next week, whether on your commute or live with us on YouTube. We can't wait to talk more Detroit basketball with you all.